Holy problematic father figures, Batman! Tiki here, and we've got into a seminal episode in Batman, the animated series. So without further ado, Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow about educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight we're talking old wounds. That's right. Let's not even beat around the bush any further. Dragon, this is fantastic. It's wonderful. The only thing, I'm not even going to bury the lead on this joke because I think it's a good joke. But Dragon, I think this episode is fantastic. It would honestly be in my Mount Rushmore if it wasn't for one thing. Do you want to guess what that one thing is?
What?
So when I saw the redesigned Joker enter the fray, Dragon, I kind of had like a Red Letter Media style, like, oh no, because I don't know, man. Like I think the Joker's written okay this episode. I just frankly, I feel like it's just like a pretty cookie cutter Joker plot in terms of like, oh, just I'm going to hijack the ads of Gotham unless you give me $40 million. I think everything else around that is effing fantastic, man. I truly do. I mean, it's just like, I really am impressed with the way that this series was able to go from a very episodic format in the original to now, like, it truly feels like everything makes sense contextually, Dragon. Like, from a narrative point of view, I am astounded by this episode and what it managed to do. But like I said, the only slight thing is that I don't know, like maybe if it was just the regular design of the Joker and it was like literally the exact same writing, I wouldn't be so hard on it. But the Joker, like, it isn't bad. It's just I don't feel like it has the villain plot. Just very much feels like background fodder to the actual, like, you know, family drama going on in this episode. And don't get me wrong, the family drama is absolutely the focal point of the episode for sure. But I don't know. In the back of my mind, I just feel like if the villain plot were just a little bit more engaging, I feel like this episode would be just like an absolute all-timer, like in my top 5 as it stands now. Dragon, very I mean, it's a top tier episode for sure. I just won't probably it's probably like narrowly missing out on my top 5 if I were to rank it right now.
What do you mean, like, of all time, like not just New Adventures?
Yes, of all time. Yes. Like, I'm saying this is like on the cusp of being on the cusp. Oh my God, words. This is on the cusp of being an all-timer. The Joker thing is like the only thing that's like sort of holding it back.
You gotta remember, Tiki, it's less, again, for the reasons you said, again, it's the family drama, absolutely the crux, and more so, it's kind of appropriate that the Joker is there when Batman is kind of come up short within the Bat family. So the point is, like, Joker's there.
I guess, it's like, my problem isn't necessarily so much the Joker as much as it just feels like a very cookie cutter Joker plot. Like,
yeah, it's like
I wasn't as engaged with the plot as I could have been. I don't know. It's a nitpick, Dragon. What more do you want from me? I still think it's solidly like in the top 10 episodes of all time. So, okay. You know, it's
all
right. Background.
All right. So this was directed by the great Kirk Gate, who's going to go on to do some excellent work with Batman Beyond. But you know, he kind of started off Superman, guys, to give you some kind of Robin-related credits, if you will. He did Sins of the Father, the big Tim Drake introduction, which also reintroduced Dick Grayson back into the fray at the very end. And Animal Act, which was kind of when we saw things kind of at a boiling point between Batman and Nightwing, kind of the episode leading up to this. So, yeah. Writer on this. Similarly, we had Rich Fogel. Rich Fogel wrote the Sins of the Father episode, and also some stuff like World's Finest Part 1, which is great, and Torch Song, which you rather liked.
I did, yeah.
So let's get to the animation studio. This was, of course, this is one of Coco's better episodes, honestly.
Absolutely, I think the animation in this is fantastic. That's easily a highlight for me. Like, I mean, Dragon, this feels like Spectrum. in some spots.
Really, you're going that far? I mean, Spectrum is like that's the A. That's the A tier.
I'm going A-team in some shots, in some certain shots. I think the ending shot with the bat symbol is honestly one of the best bat symbol shots I've ever seen on screen. I'll go that far.
Sweet. Well, just to maybe explain a little bit of that, of course, as we like to say, it's Coco with the kind of a sploosh of Dong Yang. In this case, maybe there's a little bit more in the sploosh.
You know how Starbucks drinks have like a splash of cold brew? Well, we have like a splash of Dong Yang.
Whatever helps, Tiki. Sure. But yeah, I love that. But I think maybe Dong Yang actually had a little bit more to do with this one than we usually give it credit for. Or Coco's kind of in the driver's seat. Coco gave us the awesome polar bear animation in Sub-Zero. Who knows? Anyway, of course, yes, they had done episodes to give you the kind of the Nightwing related episodes. They had Sins of the Father, did You Scratch My Back, and Animal Act. So again, pretty much all the Nightwing episodes. So Coco's been there, and of course, this episode, as we mentioned, in terms of contextual, this is our big Nightwing mystery payoff that we teed up at the top of the season with Sins of the Father coming to.
Like I said, Dragon, this episode is not only a payoff for that, but I feel like contextually it makes the entire Robin character have a lot more depth to it, like even going back to the very first episodes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially this episode really pairs, to me it pairs so well with Robin's Reckoning. Just seeing that was kind of like you saw like a light fracture of what would eventually happen in that two-parter of Robin kind of rebelling a little bit against Batman. Batman was there for him, and here, well, we'll get into that. But okay, here's the thing I gotta drive in there. This is the thing. It's kind of a chicken or the egg researching dilemma I had with this. So there is a comic. I think I alluded to it a couple times when we talked about Hilary J. Bader, because she did a lot of the Nightwing stuff, and she did a lot of the tie-in comics. So she penned the tie-in comic called Batman: The Lost Years. Now, Batman: The Lost Years was kind of like it filled in the blanks between the animated series and New Adventures, with the Nightwing story being the way they do that. Now, looking at the years, I can only surmise that while they're developing, this comic came out in '98. New Adventures premieres in September of '97. But it takes time to figure, do the show Bible and figure out how the show is going to go. So I don't know if smart money is they did the show and then they did the comic. But the cool thing about the comic is that the comic combines the episodes a little bit more. It starts off with the Old Wounds flashback, and it ends with Sins of the Father, which introduces Tim Drake and ends with, hey, Nightwing, after we've seen him go on his misadventures in South America and everything, he comes back at the very end of that story as the fully formed Nightwing. So it shows you, it fills in all the blanks for him.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I don't want to definitively say that the comic came first, because it uses the old animation style, so it doesn't have to revamp at all, which is really cool.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to revamp until the very end when they do Sins of the Father. So it's that's the only... So, assumedly... I don't want to bear down the monotony and all. Let's just say it came first, and they kind of found a cool way of blending the worlds together. It basically it's kind of like an extended cut of Old Wounds, which of course extended cuts in DC these days.
Oh God, Dragon, I'm sorry. That is something I'm not looking forward to.
No one is. The smart people, in my opinion, are not looking forward to that, but they're gonna have to watch it. It's like a train wreck.
With all due respect to our dear friend Donovan Martin, Dragon, I know he's a Zack Snyder purist. I want to give him the respect he deserves in that. It's a hard fought fight, but
unless at the end of this,
it's not my fight.
Again, the only way you get me excited is if that as a post-credit scene or something, we say, hey, we found the money somehow, and we're letting Zack Snyder make part 2 of his Justice League movie.
I would settle for an Ayer cut, man. I've always said I'm more excited about the prospect of an Ayer cut.
I think we're getting this. At some point we got to get the Ayer cut. But anyway, we'll just refocus here. I think not a whole lot. Okay. So real quick, last thing, just with the Nightwing origin, this is interesting. So they combined in the DCAU, and this is kind of like, I found this to be so popular, they kind of nowadays they try to rewrite the Nightwing origin to be something closer to this. See, Nightwing, in DC, there's something called pre-crisis and post-crisis. I don't want to bore you with the details, but essentially, Crisis on Infinite Earths is the crisis in which they kind of that was the original revamp of okay, let's wipe the old school slate clean of this God knows how many years of comics, and let's just do it again and just kind of go with this going forward. We'll change things up and we'll keep it this way. So originally, Dick Grayson retired from Robin and became Nightwing. very civil. Now, after Crisis, post-Crisis, that's when like it was a little bit more. Batman fired him to protect him, and it was because the Joker shot him. And like it was a very kind of life or death thing. So they kind of blended it. Like, what if it was a messy retirement? Is kind of the way they went.
I mean, honestly, the way they do it in this episode, I feel like it's a lot more interesting than either of those.
I know it is.
So it's a lot less cut and dry.
I know. I think ultimately they ended up with something much better and kind of in somewhat.
Yeah, because there's like I feel like there's room for blame on either side, but. Okay, Dragon, let me just put this out into the universe right now before we go any further, all right? I just want to get that out there. I feel like I've already buried the lead on this. I have never been more uncomfortable with the Batman and Barbara Gordon relationship as I am after watching this particular episode, Dragon. Well, never.
I can make you more uncomfortable.
It is so wrong. It is so wrong. Oh, God.
Believe me, Tiki, there's something I could tell you that can top that.
You've hyped up like one episode in particular, right? Is that still coming up?
No. This is not an episode. This is a comic. But they made it like the animated series. So it's like in the animated series style.
I'm just like Batman pretty much directly breaks these two up, Dragon. Like his actions, and then he has like, I'm sorry, Dragon, but they do a decent job with all like, oh, Batman's reformed now at the end of I like the end of the episode payoff just fine. Like I said, one of the most cinematic shots of the bat symbol I ever did see, but I don't know, Dragon. I mean, I almost feel like this episode almost kind of does too good of a job of just like. You're a dick, Batman.
Yeah, we'll certainly get there. But Tiki, if you ever want to throw caution to the wind, I urge you to think about this very contemplatively. All right, because there's no going back once I show you what I show you. If you ever want to know, like, what's the messy layer of like, how could it get any more?
Oh, I want to know. I want to know.
Soap opera and like, how can it get any? It kind of skirts that line because basically it's like they say it's Kyle Higgins. It's in the Batman Beyond comic. Kyle Higgins, he tried to make it into the DCAU, and he basically did a story showing you what happens. Why are Nightwing and Batman not on speaking terms in the future? And it kind of shows you why.
Oh, God.
It's like a really uncomfortable layer, like a really uncomfortable wrinkle beyond this episode. Like, how could it get any worse than those two be? Anyway, like the last most important thing, because I've been waiting on this one for the whole of the Nightwing stuff. So,
okay.
I kind of found this out. There was actually talk towards the end of New Adventures. There was talk of doing a Nightwing spin-off.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Now, ultimately, they were kind of at a crossroads.
I assume Batman Beyond is probably took precedence over that.
Well, believe it or not, that was a network suggestion. The network wanted to do a teenage Batman. They kind of came.
Oh, I can believe that. I can very much believe that. Batman Beyond feels like a network show. I like conceptually, I like Batman Beyond, but it feels very much like, hey, you do Batman but younger and in the future.
Exactly. They wanted teenage Batman. Essentially, they kind of wanted. I think the way they spun it was something along the lines of Batman meets Power Rangers, and basically they came up with the best. To
be fair, I think Batman Beyond, like from the little I've actually seen of it, oddly enough, Return of the Joker is the series finale, right?
Well, not exactly, but.
Well, my point is, I've seen that. I don't really remember much else, but I've definitely seen Return of the Joker.
Of course. Anyway, so there was actually talk of a Nightwing spin-off, and they were kind of at a crossroads. I feel this is kind of like a mistake on their end, kind of compromised this potential Nightwing show. So they opted instead of like really pursuing the Nightwing spin-off to pitch to the networks, they tried pitching a Catwoman spin-off.
Oh God, no!
I know it's a mistake of history. What can I tell you? They tried the Catwoman pitch, and it obviously it was
for this show.
Yeah, they tried doing.
You know how I feel about this show.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They literally tried. They pitched the show with this Catwoman.
Oh God, Dragon!
As you can tell, it went
upset.
For obvious reasons. As you can probably tell, it went bust. And it's a missed opportunity.
Solo Catwoman, Dragon.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, particularly this, what we do with this.
I'm really glad the Anne Hathaway Catwoman movie that was, I don't know. I think there were like some vague mumblings about that. I'm glad that
I
didn't
never really heard that was a thing, T. I think you might have been led astray on that, but anyway.
I'm sure there was talk. Talk.
Maybe. Anyway, okay. The point being, so it was a missed opportunity. We never got that Nightwing series. But again, these rumblings of However, these rumblings of a return to Batman animation, again, some people have opened the door. Well, again, if they're talking sequel, perhaps, because again, unfortunately, we don't have all the Batman cast anymore, which is very tragic.
No, I'm saying if they do a Nightwing show, like in the vein of like a year one style story, where it's a little bit more gritty, it's a little bit more like, like Dick Grayson on the road, kind of learning the tricks of the trade. I'd be very into that.
Well, that too, but also, I don't think you're never really going to get to this in animated stuff. So I'll just tell you, Dick Grayson, he moves to a neighboring city of Gotham. He goes to Bloodhaven, so pretty much is Nightwing, in his own kind of like another like pretty still crime-ridden city, but not as bad as Gotham.
Okay.
So that's kind of like where you would go with that Nightwing show, either that or do the year one kind of tale. It's either or, so it would work. But yeah, so maybe they'll go that way, maybe they won't. But as we do more Nightwing, possibilities are endless. All right, okay, so let's just let's get into this puppy. All right.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, so let's actually talk about the episode. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Robin, the boy wonder, we're going a couple Robins in this episode. Good old America's favorite, Tim Drake. So Tim Drake, Robin, he takes
on... Dragon, going back to the Return of the Joker thing, I want to emphasize, I have seen Return of the Joker. I know what happens to Tim Drake, so that adds another layer of like, okay, it's not only Dick Grayson kind of like arguing for his own trauma. Like, he doesn't want to see the trauma inflicted on this kid either. It's like, there's a lot of moving parts to the anti-Batman sentiment in this episode, I think.
This episode does definitely get more interesting when you factor in Return of the Joker. And then for the folks at home wondering, Tiki has not seen the PG-13 version of Return of the Joker, which is going to be interesting.
Whatever I saw was whatever I rented at the time that it was originally released, Dragon. That's all I can tell you.
I'm pretty sure you didn't get the juicy version. You didn't get the good one.
All right.
Oh, trust me, that's a cut that actually works better.
All right, I believe you.
Anyway, we'll tease. Okay, so Tim Drake takes on a duo of muggers in an alley. It's always an alley. Let's see. So Robin gets a little cocky in the moment, which leads to him getting like the old trash can move, like kind of mugger puts a trash can on, beats it with
That was a moment right off the bat, Dragon, where I was like, kind of like, oh man, like Tim Drake, like that is some peril, like that's going to like we know where it leads, but that's kind of a foreshadow of like, all right, things are not looking good, like right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. So one of the guys escapes. He moves to escape. Meanwhile, Nightwing glides down because he's awesome. And he nabs
I just say there's a lot of gliding in this episode, and it's all super cool. I love Batman with the jetpack as well. We'll get there.
Oh yeah. Yep. So let's see. So and of course we have this bit with Nightwing here, where he's just again we summarize kind of the brotherly dynamic between the kind of the older brother little brother dynamic here, which is basically Nightwing saying, "Here, kid, I think you lost this," as he like basically hand delivers the thug who escaped to Robin. I could have handled him, coulda, woulda, didn't.
Mm-hmm. So this kind of leads to Tim Drake just being like, it's a pretty standard setup for like, hey, I'd really like to know that one thing that the audience would also really like to know.
Pretty much, yeah. Hey, everyone's been clamoring to know why you're back and what happened. Can you just tell us?
Like, it's not the most graceful exposition in the role, but I'll take it.
No, but I gotta tell you, on the rewatch though, I like the little details though, and like they kind of frame the episode here where before Nightwing walks off, kind of bat exit interruptus, if you will. Robin says, "And you're just like Batman." I love how defensive. By the way, Lorne Lester gives probably his finest performance in the entire DCAU in this episode as Nightwing. By the way, the voice of Robin is excellent. The excellent performance. I mean, the voice of Nightwing, Dick Grayson, does an excellent job. Where he just gets really defensive. I'm nothing like him. Just like no, do not compare me to Batman for reasons we now know in the episodes. Like, oh god, he does not want to be compared to Batman. Heck no.
Okay, that's gonna Dragon. I want to just put this out there now. Just just so it doesn't get buried in this podcast, that I think is pretty much inevitably going to be longer than the average Batcave.
Yeah, it's a big one, though.
I know. But the moment where he just full-on punches Batman at the end, Drake, all I can say about that is I wish I had a camera on me recording my reaction. That was a fucking... Like, especially because of the whole, like, where he specifically calls him Robin. Like, I feel like that I get the slap in the face nature of that. Anyways, all right. We'll circle back around to that, folks.
Oh, yeah.
About an hour from now, probably.
Right. So, okay, so Tim Drake's going like, yeah, the mask, the attitude, the long underwear. So again, just really clever way of calling Dick Grayson out here. Like, yeah, well, when you cop the attitude, Nightwing, you kind of act like Batman, which again is kind of you becoming what you hate. So why don't you own up to it, buddy boy? And very impressively, he does. He doesn't do what Batman do and just ignore and just kind of make a flourishy escape. No, he doesn't do that.
Well, I feel like it's the argument that like when Tim Drake asked Batman, it's like he kind of got a very typical like, oh, things change.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and of course that's initially Dick Grayson's response. It's a things change.
So, Dragon, what I love about the whole framework of this episode of Nightwing telling the story is that it really feels like someone kind of like recalling past trauma. It's like, I love that it's not one thing, it's a bunch of little things. It feels very realistic to... Because I'm into like the true scary stories and the Reddit of it all, Dragon. That's a subgenre that I often dip my toe in on YouTube. And I got to tell you, this feels very much like that, except with except it happens to involve superheroes. But the whole like, this isn't exactly a normal childhood of it all. And how he's describing how he kind of came to the realization gradually, and he kind of always knew there was something off. I don't know, Drake. There's something potently realistic about that.
And when I rewatch the episode, I get this sort of I just love just seeing why he tells Tim this story, because again, this is his way of acknowledging that he's not going to play this like Batman. It's that fundamentally the whole character up to this point we've kind of re-experienced and kind of learning about Nightwing is that fundamentally, he's trying to avoid becoming Batman. That's, again, always the omnipresent struggle of Nightwing and Dick Grayson. He's always been groomed to essentially become Batman's successor, but he rejected that. Right. And we're kind of learning why. So I just love that he's kind of, and again, as you kind of say with the Return of the Joker comparisons, that, again, this is kind of going to be a big fork in the road for Tim.
It's a vicious cycle, Dragon.
And again, Tim is not exactly going to have his Nightwing moment, but that's going to be really. It's kind of interesting to see how these two are going to walk that line quite differently in the grand scope of things. All right, so we get the flashback, and I love how the story starts off. Like, it was never, and this is kind of playing into what you're saying. He's like, it was never really right. Not exactly a normal childhood, as he like points out the cape here. And I also got to remember too. I love that the way we kind of see, the dynamic too, and it's always kind of fundamentally flawed if you really look at it. Because you and I, we've been kind of on the same page that in the animated series, it's less like Batman as the father figure to Robin. It's more like older brother, little brother in a sense as well. In that he kind of like, it's like a little brother who looks at you kind of as a father figure over time. It's kind of the onward thing. A little bit,
See that? Yeah.
Whereas now we have the onward comparison, which makes that a lot easier. But yeah, it's kind of the onward, it's kind of the onward thing. Where perhaps in retrospect, maybe Dick Grayson needed more of a father versus more of like just the kind of the older, kind of like harsher brother and things. But we'll get into that. So we go to graduation day. It's where
I feel like in a lot of ways, and we've already probably touched on this with other episodes, but in a lot of ways, Batman is trying to kind of make up for sins of his past by very much being a father to Tim Drake first and foremost.
Yes. Exactly, yes. So we flash back to graduation day. So this is after Sub-Zero, by the way. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, they can't. I don't get why can't they go full tilt with the revamp? Or why can't we give Batman the yellow oval and fix Joker? Well, I know we can't fix Joker's eyes. That's just going to violate everything. But anyway, so this is as close as we're going to get within the revamp to going back to the old style. Unfortunately, that's why Dick Grayson's big. We have to bring back the old Robin model because otherwise the episode's not going to work. Anyway, so it's graduation day, and I do love graduation symbolically as, like again, as graduation is the perfect.
Are there any Easter eggs in the names that are being called off, Dragon?
Well, Lucius Fox's daughter, Sharon Fox, she gets
Okay.
walks up on stage, and she's actually, Lucius is actually next to Alfred and Barbara, so he's there.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, little detail.
I figured that'd be a decent way to kind of like work in production crew too, almost like a Main Street window kind of situation.
There were none that jumped out to me. Then
Uh-huh.
again, it might have been more deeper cuts. I mean, it's possible, but I would imagine like maybe like Gardner Fox or someone would have been worked in there. But then you would have had the question of, wait a minute, Lucius Fox has a son named Gardner? No, it's a DC reference. No, we can't do.
So I absolutely think that this is one of my all-time favorite Alfred moments, Dragon.
Oh,
and
yes.
it is a very small moment, but it's so meaningful. Barbara's just sitting with Alfred watching the graduation. She's like, "You must be so proud." And Alfred, he basically says 4 words, Dragon, 4 words. He's like a second son.
I love the pride that Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. has in that delivery.
I truly feel like that might be one of his all-time greatest line reads as Alfred.
It is. I agree, Tika. I absolutely agree. It's one of the go-tos, for certain. So 2 things. So again, one, I love the graduation's like this perfect event and symbol for.
Then we also get a great comedic Alfred moment later on in this episode. So not a lot of Alfred, Dragon, but they very much use Alfred when it counts.
That latter one is probably one of the most iconic Alfred moments in the DCAU.
Yeah, for good reason. I can totally see why.
Anyway, so the graduation is this perfect event and symbol for Dick Grayson's evolution and growing up and growing out of Robin. So graduation just makes all the sense in the world. And the tie-in comic, it added basically the Lost Years add some padding to these events. Basically, all the flashback stuff happens, but it takes out the device. So just the story is the flashback. But
Right.
you saw like Batman and Robin in the field, and Batgirl's like working with them, but she's not part of the team yet. And Robin's getting a little jealous because Batman's thinking about putting her in the fold, and he's critiquing him in the field, like saying, "Hey, you should get your head focused, get your head on straight." And it's like Robin's feeling already a little alienated. Then the graduation happens, and guess who's not there? Bruce Wayne's not there.
Very much a classic, like 90s Tim Allen, like, oh no, the dad's too busy to make the baseball game.
Yep. So Bruce Wayne's absent, and Barbara's remarking, "Oh, he's going to be crushed." And this is the beginning of it, folks. This is where I love seeing this. This is where basically we're seeing the beginnings of where in the DCAU Batman really started to drop the ball with the Bat family here. He's starting to double down on the mission, and that's prioritizing over like the
Nothing matters except the mission.
Of course, there's a funny throwback here to Pretty Poison, where Alfred's saying, perhaps he had car trouble. Cut to Batman battling on the hood of a truck.
That's a great cut, and also some freaking wonderful action animation.
It is. I love it. It's a great callback to, going all the way back. It's a callback to Pretty Poison, where Harvey Dent's on the date with Poison Ivy. He says, "Oh, Bruce, he gets his kicks, and he's like kicking a guy in the face and stuff like that."
Right.
It's a great throwback too. So Batman's like dodging gunshots, and as he dodges like the windshield being shot, he punches the guy right through the hole that he just made. He steers it to a crash, and he says, "Let's talk." He just drags him out of the seat while the truck's turned over. Just all of this is great. And here's the thing, though, on the rewatch is that, you know what? Batman, assumedly, he's just on patrol. I mean, he might be chasing leads for the Joker thing. We don't know that necessarily. Basically, Batman's just prioritizing the mission just generally here. This could have waited. He could have done this after the graduation.
Oh yeah. That's very much something I caught on to with the episode. I mean, there's really, like, honestly, Dragon, even with the feel-good ending that we do get for this, I feel like there's very little in this episode that redeems Batman. And I feel like narratively, that's a very interesting choice.
It's called Old Wounds for a reason, folks. It ain't called Band-Aid Solutions. Happy. All right, so we're at the Biltworth Hotel. Really swanky I love all the swanky locations we go to in New Adventures. Nice place.
Yeah.
So we got a scene with Barbara here, and she's, again, very akin to Sub-Zero. Remember, we saw how close they were getting in Sub-Zero, and I love we're kind of still in that space with these 2 crazy kids. You're rooting for them, aren't you?
Yes, and like I said, Dragon, it makes the impending doom all the more...
We get to see it kind of begin here, too. We get to see the root of the explosion.
Oh, I hate it.
So she's asking what's next for him now. Like, are you going to join the ranks of the idle rich? And he says, no, 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 I'm ready to be my own man. Of course, a little foreshadow there. He's got, he's going to separate from Bruce, but he's not going to take a vow of poverty, as Barbara puts it. He's got a trust fund from the circus, insurance settlement of everything. So basically, he's got a little bit of a little nest egg for the boy wonder, if you will. That's how he affords his fancy loft, by the way. Now you know how he got that really expensive looking place.
Makes sense, yeah.
All right, so let's see. So whatever it holds, he hopes that it's going to be with Barbara, and their kiss is interrupted very symbolically. It's like right before the happiness is about to strike, phone call, and guess who it is? Well, it's the beeper, and the beeper says...
I love how it's like just a super old-fashioned beeper.
Yeah, well, this was the era of Hey Arnold. So,
Indeed.
the beeper goes off, which means it's a bat beeper, and he goes to the phone. He's calling up, and Batman's you got a lead on this goth space robbery. It's going down tonight, and he's telling I love this. He's not even getting like an apology for like, hey, why didn't you show up to my graduation?
No, it's just all sass, Dragon. Just like, this isn't a great time. Well, I don't make the schedule.
Yeah, and it's just such a sad moment. And then we have Tiki, tell me you were crushed when you saw that sad moment of Dick Grayson. He returns after he hangs up the phone. He walks to probably, again, kudos to the animation. Probably one of the most beautifully rendered moments.
Right,
Gordon,
yeah.
As she just stands up and he basically presenting like the future that he wants is right in front of him. But as long as he is Robin, he's part of a duo, which means he is...
He can't even come up with a good excuse, Dragon.
Oh, we're gonna get that. So I love that he can never be independent because he is part of the dynamic duo, and of course, what is the lame excuse that he gives this gorgeous Batgirl, if you will? He
has to go clean out a fridge.
Clean out the fridge? Incredulous, like what? So he's gonna help.
She's not even mad. She's just puzzled.
Yeah, it's like what? Like we were having a moment, and oh, it's hilarious. So we're at Goth Space Labs, pretty much like a space center sort of place. All right, so we reveal two familiar henchmen, Rocco and Henshaw. And this was a really impressive pull, by the way. I completely forgot about this. Rocco and Henshaw. This is before Joker got the mimes, the Three Stooges mimes. They got the ones from from the last time we saw these guys was a Harley and Ivy.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, because we're in the past. So Rocco and Henshaw...
like I said, like you said, if only the Joker giving him the eyes would throw everything off. But if only.
The comic though, he's on model. And he looks beautiful.
I'm sure he does.
All right, so
Dragon, like I said, I mean, I am inherently like there is no way that I am not biased with that redesign. I'm sure that if this was just like squeaky clean, regular Joker, it would probably play even better. I'm sure of it.
Here's the thing, I have to divorce myself from the look when I go to this episode, because I really love Mark Hamill's dialogue and the way he's delivering the lines, even though it is a generic plot. I just love how the way we do like the classic Joker infomercial later. It's like, that's my Joker right there. Yes, why can't he look better? But we'll get there. So we introduced Connor. So Rocco and Henshaw, they found a guy to be their lookout for the time being. They just need a guy to be lookout, which again is kind of ironic given his role in this robbery, given where he's going to end up by the end of the episode. It's really kind of nicely ironic.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so Connor, he's basically there to play lookout, and he gets kind of a little small payday on it. There, he gets $100. He's asking, what are you going to be doing? What are you guys going to be doing? So out of this ice cream truck emerges the Joker. If you stick your nose in, it might get cut off. And it sticks like this $100 in his mouth. You can keep a secret, can't you? Uh-huh. Because he's terrified. Oh, I didn't know I'm working with the Joker. Oh, God. And sticks the $100 in his mouth. Good. So let's see. So then basically the plan is to heist some aerospace equipment to ultimately ransom the city and then load it onto an ice cream truck. So Robin arrives and Batman, of course, not even like I'm glad you're here. Just Batman's like, you're late. And of course, come on, Batman. It's like you already pulled him away from his graduation.
No, yeah, like I said, Dragon, very few things in this episode that Batman does are forgivable. I mean, I just honestly feel like it's all bad. It's just all bad.
I gotta tell you, and the thing that gets me on the rewatch so well is that, again, you look at something like Robin's Reckoning or any of the early episodes, it's like, there is no banter at all at this point. It's all tension. It's all sass and tension, and it's not like the fun banter of like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm glad you're chatting. None of that. All that's gone off the table. So excuse me for having a life. And Batman just springs into action. Like, he's pulling a bad exit on Robin. That ain't right. All right, so then let's see. So Joker is just looking in the mirror with the spinach in my teeth. I think I have spinach in my teeth.
Okay, I will say that is a pretty decent use of that Joker design with the teeth. I'll give it that much.
So this is a great moment here. One of the great Joker welcomes to Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin crash through the skylight, and we have this great, nice entrance. Either you've never heard of a door, or you just like pulling glass from your shorts. Yeah, sometimes it's got good Joker dialogue. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have basically have some fight stuff going on here, like Tommy gun fire. Connor observes. More importantly, you got to set up that Connor's observing all this, and he's getting a little spooked. He's in over his head. Meanwhile, Joker, he launches a rocket at Batman and Robin. They're buried under all this aerospace debris. And even Joker's remarking, it's easier than usual. So, and of course, Robin emerges. Oh, time to fly! So he leaves. Robin.
So Robin goes back to help Batman, and goddamn, if that's not even. Like, that's even the wrong... Like, Batman's just like, no, get him! And it's like, I don't know, Dragon. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood when it comes to Batman in this episode, but he literally feels like almost everything he does just rubs me the wrong way.
Well, you know what's interesting? I never really thought of it this way, but you know what it kind of could also be? I mean, again, this is all from, Dick Grayson's memory of the events.
I'm glad you bring that up. I don't know how intentional that was, but yeah, that's a good theory.
I mean, honestly,
because Batman is in just potent like asshole mode this whole episode for the most part.
Because I've always taken it at face value, but there is always the room, like, we recontextualize things in our memories of events. Like, maybe things happen this way, maybe not as badly. Like, perhaps, like, like Batman's like, no, go on without me, versus, like, go after them. It's possible. One thing, at this juncture, Batman is prioritizing the mission before anything else. Like, no, forget about me, stop the Joker. He's going to destroy the city. That's the mission. Stop him. Stop being so soft. So, also, I love that Joker had a little bit of clue in the dialogue there with time to fly, given the aerospace element of the whole plan with the planes and everything. That's kind of... Anyway. So, Connor was left behind in this heist, so now he's toddling on home as fast as he can. Robin is tailing the fleeing henchman, as he follows Connor all the way back to his apartment with his family, which is a big mistake. Mike Ehrmantraut would never make this mistake.
No.
So this is where we get the big scene. We get two big scenes in like two big, capital letters. Big scenes. Like, I'm talking Civil War font. Big scenes.
God.
This is for me, this is the big winner right here. This scene always haunts me, how beautiful this is. So how scary it is, more accurately. Beautifully haunting. And so, big scene. The wife and kid are playing Spaceman. My theory was always that Connor might have worked at this aerospace lab in some regard. Maybe he bought his son like stuff from the gift shop, because that's why I have like the Spaceman theme. It's always a little headcanon thing. Can never really prove that, but So, before he can evacuate his family, tell he and his family to get out of there, Robin kicks down the door, and then we have the kid saying, "I'll save you, Daddy," pointing like a little ineffective space gun at him. So then we have this beautiful, we've never seen this before in the animated series, like ever, this perfect ethical dilemma. Like, when Robin is affected, Robin doesn't know what to do, right? Oh, God, his family's here. I mean,
the way that this is all animated, the facial reaction on him, how scared the kid gets. Yeah. And Dragon, tell me that this is not this scene. I want to say it must be one of the genesises for the the iconic Dark Knight, where is the Joker interrogations that Batman goes on.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. So we have this. I just love all the little details. I mean, Coco and Dong Yang, they did such a phenomenal job with this episode. Batman, he just instantly, as Robin's like taking a moment just to take in the ethical dilemma, Batman smashes through the window. Very scary. Like smashes through the window.
Honestly, I really do think that details like that, how he just smashes the window, like doesn't even give the guy a moment. In considering the ending of the episode too, I really do think that your theory about, how it's all coming through Robin's memory, I think you might be spot on, honestly.
Yeah, and there was at the very least there's a half truth there at some point. Like Batman probably overstepped in this interrogation, but maybe not as eerily as it is here. Perhaps.
Right.
But still, even if it is going that far, though, I mean, kudos for them going that far.
Let's say, for example, I'm sure in the moment he traumatized the kid,
yes.
But maybe he took the time after the thing was over to make sure the kid was okay. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like we see that there was a recompense at the end there. Perhaps there was more favorable stuff with Batman with the recompense that we didn't see because this is not his story. So again, Batman he just crashed through the window. My favorite bit is he disarms the toy gun. So Connor took the toy gun to show, we're not a threat here. And then basically Batman's he shoves Connor against the wall, takes the gun from his hand, slides it on the room. Just again, Batman's looks like he's out of his gourd here a little bit. Just he's Batman's completely he's got tunnel vision in this scene here. And we just have this, he's interrogating him. Where's the Joker? And he means business, and he's scaring the family. Robin sees this, and so is the audience. Robin and the audience are very taken aback by this. We, the audience, and he just has this great moment. One of the great Lorne Lester deliveries here. He says, "Batman, not like this, not in front of us."
Yeah.
The vulnerability. They're no, this is wrong, and he's just calling him out there. So Batman's rationale: the sooner he talks, the sooner we leave. Which again, logical for Batman, but again, Batman does not have any perspective in this scene. The kid's in tears. Robin, he's had it. Okay, I've had it. He's just, I'm out of here now, and seeing Batman is given that pause where he's kind of taken aback, where it's Robin is left, and the question is, and this is again where the whole frame of memory thing, I guess, goes that is Batman giving pause because he's ticked off that Robin is left, or that he's given a little perspective as to, oh God, maybe he has a point. For me, it's such a hard scene to watch in the most beautiful of ways because Batman is so tunnel vision on the mission. He's traumatized a child. He has become a Joe Chill for this family. And that's something powerful to see this Batman go through. And Joker is dangerous. So Batman, he's not 100% in the wrong here. This is a really time-sensitive situation. Joker, he could do some really bad stuff here. It's the Joker, for pity's sake. But he could have done it a lot more measured. And he knows Robin was right. Deep down, he knows Robin was right. And I think in that moment, he recognizes Robin was right, but I can't think about that now. He's compartmentalizing it, but he's not unboxing it later. That's his problem. He didn't unbox it later.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent scene. All right. So it's 3:14 in the morning.
All right. Oh God. Oh man, Dragon, this is just heartbreaking right here.
This is good acting though. Seriously, Lorne Lester, great acting in this scene.
It is, man, because you really just get the sense of just oh Jesus, this is just a culmination of just everything. It's, it feels like Robin is going through a bad breakup and he's venting it to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's how weird is that?
It is. So Dick's visiting Barbara 3 in the morning. He's very distraught over what he's just saw in Bruce's actions of late. But here's the thing: Batgirl is not in the know yet. Barbara, she's Batgirl, but she's not in the loop. He can't tell her why. It's just things are bad and he has to get away from them. And again, such a human scene too, where again you see the range of emotions on Dick and just the regret of I want to tell her, I want to let her in, but I can't because I'm going to drag her into this mess and I don't want her anywhere near this guy. After seeing what he's just pulled right now, he's very untrusting of Batman in this moment. So it's just I love how understanding she is in the scene too. She's not getting mad. What are you doing coming over here 3 a.m. in the morning? What's wrong?
No, it's she knows who to blame, Yeah. In this moment, it's she gets an annoyed look on her face when it's all said and done, but it's not for Dick. It's for the other person in this, in this relationship that is falling apart.
Yep, and it's like I shouldn't have come. I'm sorry. I got to work this out on my own. I'll call you later. So Barbara, she makes a, God bless the kid. She makes a proactive choice here, but so she visits. Things are going to change fundamentally here. So Barbara visits Bruce Wayne to get to the bottom of
And
this.
this Dragon is where I really feel like if I was not feeling Bruce's situation before, I really feel like it comes to a head here. This was like, this was totally out of balance for him to pull this shit. I really felt that way.
So again, so she's there to mend fences for the man that she loves. Very admirable. And Batman, he is. I love this bit in the performance though. This kind of adds to that whole like kind of the coaxing of our memories. This is a scene Dick would have no idea about, except from what she told him. So Batman, he takes a beat. You care for him, don't you? So that just taking that beat just to recognize that you really mean a lot to him, and that basically Batman he's making the judgment call. Everyone's like always railed against 89 for like, you let her into the Batcave. What's wrong with you, Alfred? You're so fired. Where this is like Batman letting someone in on the secret, and again the comic kind of shows you he was kind of leaning towards that way anyway, and little fun fact. I think the coolest bit from the comic, you don't need it all here. They made the right choice in cutting it, but it was a really cool detail that you see how he figured it out. That Batman working in that opening thing, they're working in the field together. He pointed out, he gave her a pointer. Like you open yourself on the right when you fight. You got to guard your right side more. And Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, and Bruce Wayne were playing tennis. And Bruce noticed the same thing. You leave your right side open. Wait, what? It's just like this whole, he kind of put it together, and you got to fill in the blanks. That's how he figured it out, that Barbara was Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so, she gets led into the cave. We have this great bit. The Hall of Fame Alfred moment, to end all the Hall of Fame Alfred moments, where she's in the Batcave, she's taking it all in.
Alfred, oh, no, Barbara, you've discovered my secret. I am the Batman.
I admit it. I am Batman. This is a perfect response on Barbara's face of like, yeah. And I love that.
Remember that theory back when Gotham was airing that I knew pretty much for a fact wasn't going to come true, but I kind of wanted it to, where, like, what if they just killed Bruce Wayne off in season 1 and fucking Alfred became Batman? Because I feel like that Alfred would have been capable enough to be Batman.
I love that this is the classier version of the old 60s idea of, like, if Batman never needed to be in two places at the same time, he had Alfred in the Batsuit, like in the 60s, the 60s show. This is like the classy DCAU version of that. Like, I admit it. I think it's a last-ditch effort, and I love that Bruce kind of respects this. He says, it's all right, Alfred. He's not clipping his dreams. Like, it's all right, Alfred. I think we're good here. She knows. It's fine. All right, so and also still with the whole Batgirl being let in on the secret and everything. Again, they were going to do this in Sub-Zero, but they cut out that plot line. Dick and Barbara are going to confront each other about the whole, like, she was going to be let into the Batcave in that movie. But again, she was kind of Mr. Freeze's hostage, so they didn't do that.
Right.
All right. Okay, so like, how did you know? I make it my business to know. Awesome Batman line. Anyway, so Alfred interrupts this powwow here. Is like she's kind of taking it all in, and I hate to interrupt the sense of time, sir, but I must direct your attention to the news. And we have classic Joker scene, the Joker infomercial ransom.
It's cliche, but it's great. It's very much the type of Joker thing that I would expect to see in the Tim Burton Batman. It very much reminds me of the commercials that he would put out.
I mean, that's the thing. Joker loves doing the hijacking the airwaves. That's like the signature move of the Joker. It's always hijacking the airwaves, and I love what we do with like commercials and laughing fish.
Feels like classic, like pre-Dark Knight gritty Joker.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And still there, hijacking the air. He loves to do it. It's a signature. But yeah, you're right. So we just have this whole, this wonderful Mark Hamill just seeing here, just like, do you suffer from that queasy cabin pressure air sick feeling? I have like the cheesy infomercial music. Dun, 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 dun.
I love the two goons just crashing the toy planes
Yeah.
into each other. That's my favorite detail.
Here's a detail I completely forgot about until the rewatch. On the little model of the city as the planes are crashing down, it says like church and orphanage and all sorts of very, very sensitive targets for the crash, which is just this awesome. Anyway, so well, you should because of my handy dandy radar disruptor. And basically, this the radar disruptor it'll scramble all the radar systems in Gotham, and of course, we demonstrate the planes crashing into each other. Which means no military or commercial airlines will be able to fly over Gotham. And if you want to avoid this unhappy landing, send $40 million to me, the
Where do you
Joker.
think he came up with the $40 million figure, by the way, Dragon? It seems like a really random number.
It does, and I don't know why, Tiki, it just feels kind of right.
It does. I'm not complaining about it, Dragon. I feel like it feels right because it's so random.
Well, remember, again, every time I think of Joker coming up with figures, I mean, he wanted $1 billion to kill Superman and World's Finest, so he wants $40 million for something much smaller and more achievable.
Right.
I think ultimately he's just kind of lowering his prices as time goes on, just after dropping the ball on the whole kill Superman thing. I don't know.
He's a man that realistically knows what he's worth. You know.
Yeah, he's doing the 7. He probably did like the Walter 747 calculations. Like, okay, well, literally 747. Like, gonna build that here just instantly. My plot here. Let's see how we do calculations.
Right.
40 million just for laughs. And again, it's an unachievable ransom. I think that's mainly the point. It's like no one's gonna be able to do 40 million. All right, so let's see. So the airplanes thing being great. Anyways, again, it's just using what he could get his hands on from that heist. And I love the sign flip too, where he's like flips the sign upside down. Oh god, the operators are standing by, and remember, don't send an airmail.
Oh god.
Oh, I love that airmail gag. It's so dark and it's so funny. Anyway, okay, so the point being, Alfred's trying to contact Robin, but no dice. Robin's really kind of steaming right now. No dice in contacted him, but he already has backup with Batgirl volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is where all the trouble's going to start, kids. Where,
so, like I said, right? Yeah, I just want to back up to the moral dilemma of it all. Like, it's not necessarily the fact that Batgirl volunteers that bothers me. It's more so the fact that Bruce let her in to begin with. That I feel like is just kind of like stepping over the line a little bit,
and without clearing it with Dick.
Right, exactly. It's
less the whole Batgirl and the team thing. It's one that he knew that she was Batgirl and didn't tell him. His girlfriend was someone working with him in the field, and that's the messy side of it. That Bruce knew these things and he kept it secret, and that he took this leap without him knowing. That's the betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the betrayal of trust. Of just when I think you're already becoming unrecognizable to me, you violate these things. You kind of ingroomed in me as you kind of imbued in me as a kid. Growing up, we keep these things secret, we keep these things separate, and you're breaking all the rules.
I mean, in some ways, Dragon, it is pretty similar to the whole growing up in a cult kind of thing,
I mean, yeah, kind of, yeah. More like
without the community angle,
yeah.
But definitely in the angle of kind of the mission statement of it all, like you keep emphasizing with the
and basically, Batman's risking becoming, again, it's always Batman becoming a crazy person. The cult view, again, basically, Joker's always mocked him for all these kids that flock to him, pretty much like a cult anyway. So yeah, but these Robins are anyway, part of the cult of the bird or something, cult of the bat. All right, so Batman suspects, and now we're in the Batmobile, which again, in the past, should be the awesome Batmobile, but we can't change the models. So, just to peeve me. All right, so we're in the Batmobile. Batman suspects, and this is a really smart assertion, he suspects if Joker gets the $40 million, unlikely as is, even if he gets the $40 million, he'll throw the switch in a heartbeat if there's a sick laugh in it. Classic Joker.
That's the fun thing about the Joker, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Fun quotes. All right. So they figure, this is, again, really smart on-the-fly detective work. They figure, okay, well, to get max coverage to do the damage he says he is, the Disruptor has to be at the highest point of Gotham. Therefore, we're at kind of our Empire State villain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dick is coming in to the Batcave, sees that Barbara's car was out front. And Alfred informs Dick that she and Bruce are running errands. What kind of errands?
The moment he sees that missing car, it's like he sees the Batmobiles going, like, oh god, what errands. All right, so I love the kind of our Empire State Building-esque location here. I love Joker messing around the souvenir stand, he's putting all like the giant building hat shot. It's really funny. He's messing around. So they basically, obviously, have gas bombs in the elevator shaft. Basically, the only way to this place is you have to be on the roof. They have to go to the rooftop. You can't go up the stairwell otherwise. That's kind of what's securing their little hostage situation here. Well, sorry, their little, their ransom situation here. Anyway. Yeah, boss, there's no weapon. Is that so? That just doomed him instantly because Batman tackles one of the thugs on the roof using the Bat jet glider. Again, ever since I saw that thing,
I feel like this is a good implementation of it. It's pretty kinetic in the action.
Yeah, it is. I mean, how's he going to get up from point A to point B? I mean, short of
the
long grapple. I mean, though he's grappling, but it's like the Empire State Building. You can't grapple that far.
And I honestly think this episode in the climax does have one of the best grappling hook moments that I've seen in the show so far. So it definitely makes up for that.
That it does. Okay, so let's see. Batman's taking Tommy gun fire, which leads to Batgirl helping save his bacon. And by the way, this is a huge momentous thing here. It's Joker meets Batgirl for the first time.
Yeah, and he is very amused. He's like, "Oh, hello, what's this? Something new has been added."
I love just the historic. Obviously, the animated series. Well, again, I can't say. I have to say never say never at this point, given that whole Jason Todd thing we're doing in these tie-in comics now with Dini on board. But I mean, there's the historic sense of dread that Joker is always linked to these momentous being linked to this momentous night in Batman's history, where basically his family kind of things go so badly with he and Dick Grayson, but also, knowing what Joker, the killing joke of it all, and, kind of the death in the family of it all. It's like Joker and any member of the Bat family is kind of a disastrous concoction. Tim Drake years later. So it's like just Joker being here for this moment always just felt appropriate. And again, tying to the whole, he shot Nightwing in the post-crisis thing I mentioned from earlier. So again, Joker's there for kind of a number of reasons, and it kind of feels right, even though it is kind of just like, it's like basically found an excuse to get Joker in there, but it's cool to have him there.
Sure.
All right. Something new has been added, and a great improvement over the boy blunder. So he's throwing. It's been so long since we've done this. Joker's throwing razor sharp playing cards again. He hasn't done that since the first season, man. It's awesome. Right, he's throwing the razor sharp playing cards at Batman. His back.
Whenever he does that, it kind of vaguely reminds me of Oogie Boogie. Kind of like weaponizing the casino stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the reason you don't do the playing cards that often, and you kind of see it here, is that you have to. It's really hard to draw things that small when you're doing cell animation because you have to draw the design. That's why there's their white playing cards. Like there's nothing really on them.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
The animated series, then back then they actually drew things on the playing cards in the first season. That's why they didn't do it that often. It's a headache.
Oh.
Anyway, so basically Batman's now he crash lands in the souvenir into the souvenir stand, and also Joker has the hyenas. Yet no Harley. But again, no Harley because it would have again we need Joker. We have so much Bat family stuff we can't complicate it with Harley. We can't have Harley.
God, I honestly think if Harley would have been in this episode, it would have been way too much. Honestly,
exactly.
That was a smart call on their part.
Yeah, but we got the hyenas in there, so happy medium.
Right. The only way I could see Harley working, and honestly, I don't even see this working if it's not a two-parter. But if they had some sort of commentary on toxic relationships.
Sure.
But like I said, I really think if they were to do that, you really would need a two-parter to really, flesh that concept out. I think Harley could have a place in the story, theoretically, because of that mirror image. But I don't know. You need a lot of screen time to pull that off.
Yeah, so absolutely. So let's see. So Batgirl's fighting kind of the twins here, fighting Rocco and Henshaw. Batman's trying to not get eaten by hyenas. And Joker. Let's see. So Robin's on his way. By the way, the one design they could pull off, the Bat Cycle, the classic look on the Bat Cycle.
Right.
Because I guess that's easier. So Robin's on his way. Joker, this is a great bit, by the way. Joker is using the coin-operated binoculars to examine Batgirl in action. Feisty little minx. A real looker, too. And then, of course, I love the pun there, real looker, given he's using kind of like a looker himself right now with the binoculars. Yeah. And he uses this to, my God, I love having this. This
is like the most weaponized I've ever seen a pair of binoculars ever be used, Dragon.
So he spins it, because those old school binocular things, it's a really long,
yeah.
He spins it. I've never seen this long up close for me personally, but he spins it. And
I honestly feel like there must be some liberties taken with the design of them, yeah. But you know what, whatever. It's a patented we don't care moment.
So he spins it, and bam, she's knocked off the roof, and again, retroactively, what we've done here, perhaps Tiki, and again, her big first night as Batgirl, this, again, she's knocked down, she's fallen off the roof, perhaps this ingrained in her a fear of falling for another episode, Over the Edge.
Sure.
So she's fallen off that roof, man. She's knocked out, as in she cannot grapple to safety on her own at this juncture. So she's fallen. Robin finally shows up. Barbara! So he does
this. Like I said, this is an epic grappling hook moment, Dragon.
So the Bat Cycle is the first time the Batcycle's ever done this sort of thing. Like the front part of it launches like an
that kind of took me by surprise a little bit.
It's cool though. It feels toyetic in the best ways. I don't think they ever made a toy of this. Doing this, which is a missed opportunity. So the thing fires. Robin's like riding it like halfway, and then he grapples the rest of the way to catch her. Basically, meets her halfway to save her bacon, which is awesome. Yeah, very exciting sequence. Just again, really great grapple save for sure. Oh my goodness! I love a good grapple save, and this was pretty sweet. Okay, so Robin wants to talk, and she says, "Not now. You know, he needs our help right now." So
okay, and that right there, I even have in my notes. I'm like, trouble in paradise.
Yeah.
Like she's kind of like already siding with Bruce. Like that ain't good. That ain't good.
So Batgirl. So as Batgirl's gonna have some splaining to do.
Fucking hell. I just listened to a podcast on the Mandela effect today.
Again? Why do you keep subjecting yourself to the Mandela thing?
This is like the first time I've even paid attention to it in 2 years. I'm just going through a podcast on conspiracy theories, and they happen to have a Mandela effect episode.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. It's like, why do you keep subjecting yourself? Okay, well,
no, it's not a podcast that's all about the Mandela effect. It's just a podcast an episode.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
okay, so Batman fights off the hyenas. He hits him like this giant novelty Empire State Building souvenir. Says, "Hey, do I hit your kids?" Oh, actually, I do. That's what I'm saying. So funny.
Yeah, you know what? I will give the Joker's. I'm officially going to give the Joker stuff. Like I was kind of fishing for nitpicks there. It's all fine.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, really, the only issue is the design. But whatever. You know that. You know you can literally have the best written Joker stuff in the world. The design's still going to throw me off a little bit.
The design's a losing battle. We can't fix it.
I know.
All right, so Batgirl saves Batman here. Basically, you should, of course, at the last second here, and as Joker's, he has a sweet move with the Tommy gun. It's out of his hands, like he kicks it up, which is really sweet. I don't know, again, really good animation too, like little subtle bits. You should be sidewalk stroganoff by now. You know, we have.
I've changed the menu.
It's great. Great quippy Robin moment. Oh, by the way, I really wish this was in the episode, but it would not make any sense. I think the best bit from the comic adaptation of this is that Tim Drake is in this story, Tiki. They
really?
Here in the comic, in the way they did, what they tied in the stories. The idea is even how Tim Drake had that batarang in Sins of the Father.
Yes. He
got it from this fight. Like when they're throwing batarangs and whatnot, he's like on a neighboring rooftop and he found it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like he saw the action. He kind of had that's how he got his batarang.
So like, is there a moment where Tim Drake's like, "Hey, I was there"?
Yeah, but I guess they didn't want that, so they cut that out. It would have disrupted the flow.
Yeah, it would have. I can see why they did that.
Yeah, I don't fault them for cutting it out, but it was really cool though. It's like in the comic, yeah. But again, they didn't have like a whole like someone telling a story aspect in the comic there.
Sure,
anyway.
sure.
Okay, so anyway, so as the action's gonna ramp down here, so Batgirl is a really sweet, a really kind of sweet move here. You see a plane. I love the tension here. There's a plane that's about to pass over. And we know when that plane passes over while this thing's turned on, the disruptor's turned on, it's going to crash. It's going to be like Breaking Bad.
The plane.
Yeah. So what she does is, as Joker's firing with the Tommy gun, she draws his fire and like jumps over the machine. Basically, the machine overloads and blows up kind of comedically in Joker's face. We have Batman doing that. I love it when he does this. He just runs off the rooftop and grabs her to save her. Those are grabs people by the waist and just like save him from the explosions and stuff. So the day is saved, and we see blimps are flying in the air again. Therefore, we know we're okay now.
Well, of course, Dragon, because blimps are just like the universal sign of safety. We all know that.
Of course, like Joker's like, Houston, we have a problem as he topples over. Okay, then we have the other big scene of the episode. You take the reins, man. Big scene.
All right, so yes, indeed, they need to talk, and boy, do they talk, Dragon.
Yep. Yeah, Robin's really upset that Barbara kept this from him, man. Again, he's a little hypocritical here because
you know what I feel like this is the most interesting element of the episode is that in some ways, like I honestly feel like Robin is probably like the most blameless in this situation. Like he's probably the biggest victim in all of this. But even still, like at the very least, he is hypocritical.
Most assuredly. Yeah, you weren't exactly honest with me either. Again, this is basically kind of a sampling of what they would have had in Sub-Zero, by the way. They would have hashed this out then, too, but it wouldn't have had the betrayal element there, which is why it's so great that we have this here now. So to me, this scene really, getting in Dick's head for a moment here, it seems like Dick Grayson's hope from the earlier scene. It's like, Barbara's separate from Batgirl, basically separate from the Batman of it all. Like the life as the dynamic duo that is kind of dragging him down, but seeing that she's part of the team. That his hope has basically gotten dashed by Batman again in his eyes, he's directly blaming Batman for all this. Like Batman has kind of taken away his happiness, so he's really directing all of his ire, his sense of betrayal, and like kind of processing, kind of a very fair. Like Batgirl's wanted to help, and it was like an inevitable thing they were going to have to deal with anyway. But now he's directing it all towards Batman, which is a little.
Like I said, it's less the fact that Batgirl was helping out, and more the fact that like it was not Batman's secret to tell.
Yes, and like Batgirl's getting there, like, hey, you put her in danger. Of course, she could always like say, like, yeah, I can handle myself here, but then going like, hey, I made the decision, and like, you didn't tell me. He knew, and there's the betrayal right there. Yeah. He knew, and this is the most fascinating thing about the episode. And again, there's that question: is it all memory, or is it just? But even just taking it at face value, Batman is so callous. Like he is not making any excuses. He's just He's just Batman's so unapologetic and cold here. It's like it wasn't my place to tell you, but it was your place to put her in danger.
And that right there, that is like my biggest "fuck you, Batman" moment right there, Dragon.
It wasn't my place to tell you. And again, just like if you look at the animation, more so the lack of animation, Batman's face, there are no lines at all. He's just he's stone faced. They're in this entire scene. Conroy's just pulling it back so well. And then Dick Grayson gets into kind of his tirade here of like, you think you did, just trying to warn Barbara desperately. It sounds like, like you think you did, but you don't know him like I do. He manipulates, he pulls strings to get what he wants.
And like I said, Drag, this is a bold choice for this show. Like the title character is just getting raked over the coals, and we as an audience, like literally everything that Dick is saying in this moment is 100% true.
Yeah, here's the thing. I feel Dick is right, but not in this case necessarily. In that he's true. Batman is going to go down this route. And he's always bordering on this, and we saw he is overstepping the line. But in this case, as we saw from Barbara's side of things, Barbara did just volunteer. Like, again, the situation it's not as cut and dry as Dick is framing it right now. It's a messy situation because of that. Because again, he's right that Batman is going to these lengths. And also, fascinating thing I kind of glazed over, but we should absolutely bring up here is that, again, there is a question of why does Batman tell her in this moment? Like, is he trying to placate the Robin was rebelling against him in the interrogation scene? Is this his way of like, okay, I'm going to bring her into the fold and kind of patch things up by bringing her in? Is that a manipulation, or is that him? You really like him, don't you? Is that him making trying to mend things or mending things strategically to get him in line?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. To me that's the most kind of that's not divisive. That's the most kind of not ominous. Darn it, I'm missing the word. Anyway, it's the most. It's up in the air. It's the most like it could be any sort of things.
Morally ambiguous.
Very ambiguous. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's most ambiguous element within the whole manipulation aspect. All right. Like, Batman's losing his humanity. This is the beginnings of Batman losing his humanity, which is going to lead to him being alone in Batman Beyond. Only with his war on crime. That's pretty much this is the beginning. This is the big crack that forms Batman Beyond this moment. And then Batman's having this line where there's a little bit of sadness, but just a callousness to like, I thought we had the same goals. And again, that's his defense. That's like no apology, nothing like, no, I'm sorry. It's like, I thought we had the same goals. It's prickish, but it's also like there's a little bit of sadness in there, but not like a true sadness.
Right.
It's a disappointment, not a sadness. Things change. I changed. says Robin. And of course we get the big, you know what? I quit. And then we have the big moment, Tiki. Hit him with the big moment. Literally.
Yeah, so what does Batman say? Something just thinks of like, Robin, please, or something like that.
He says, Robin, wait.
Yeah, and just like I said, Dragon, just him using the name Robin, I feel like, is the trigger that kind of like, that was like the last straw, I think. Like, no, like Dick is trying to be his own person. He's trying to break out on his own. The last thing he wants is that identity. And for Batman to just, like I said, Dragon, he's pretty much like ignoring all of Dick's concerns throughout pretty much the entire episode. So that is a great breaking point where it's like, honestly, if I were in Dick's shoes, I would have punched the guy too.
We have, Tiki, this is like either the first or second most important punch in the entirety of the DCEU. Of the DCAU.
I love how you have the punches ranked. You probably have like every little category ranked in the DCEU.
Well, the DCAU, I should say. Sorry, because we have the Snyder Cut in the brain.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Fuck. Yeah.
but no, yes. Superman has the other punch, but yes, certainly. This is huge because this has like, obviously the big shattering impact of like. Also, what's kind of funny in retrospect now. Believe it or not, I'm going to cite a meme now.
Oh dear God. Okay.
It's that important. This is like the sucker punch. Like, of course, rarely does Batman ever get surprised. Batman did not see this punch coming. Of all the punches he can see coming, prepare himself for a little bit. This is like one complete sucker punch. And of course, you have that famous. It's like an inversion of that now famous meme of Batman from the old school comics backhanding Robin. This is the inverse, the dramatic inverse of that. Like, what if we kind of made that? What if we reverse engineered that? Made that?
Sure.
It's bad,
except there's like no comedy involved in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the dramatic inversion.
All right, good call.
Then Batgirl has the audience's reaction, like. and I just love that Batman just kind of takes like
Dragon. My reaction to it was more like the reaction that high schoolers have to a fight breaking out, just kind of like, "Oh shit, son!"
And the thing that always kind of struck me, like no pun intended, is that Batman, while he's on the ground, he doesn't get up. He just takes it. He just kind of takes in, like, he lets him have his moment. He's like, he just knows things are broken. He can't fix. He just stays on the ground. He takes it. And then Robin removes the famed domino mask and the cape, throws it down, and he exits. And then when he leaves, you hear for the first time the Nightwing theme.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just have the transition from the mask to, kind of Nightwing now, basically wrapping up his little story here. And I never put on the costume again. Monumental words. And you still haven't forgiven him? Why should I? He'll never change. So, in the aftermath, they're recovering the stolen wallets from the muggers earlier, and they find a familiar face. And then we reveal who that familiar face is. It's a security guard, but not just any security guard, Tiki. Who is that security guard?
Connor.
Yes!
So yeah, this is so basically. Dragon, walk me through this. So basically, Batman pretty much kind of helped this family out after the traumatic incident. Am I right about that?
Yes. After the ambiguous thing is that, thank you for helping me find that word, and I can use it again.
Welcome.
It's ambiguous. When did Batman do this again? While unbeknownst to Dick Grayson within that story, like, did he do like closer after that event happened?
Right, that's what I was unclear on as well. Yeah, and I'm glad that is ambiguous.
Now, I've always taken this episode at face value. I'm still inclined to do so. I just wanted to entertain the notion of that whole, like, the perspective thing, which I think is still viable. But I think time passed. I think it took time for Bruce Wayne to really kind of like after Nightwing left, that's when this thing really sunk in for him. And he made an effort to seek out this guy.
Sure, okay.
So I think that again, like but Batman absolutely saw what was wrong, and like him leaving completely really kind of showed Batman like, yeah, I got to make this right in a way that even if he never finds out, I got to make this right because I crossed the line, I traumatized this family, I became a Joe Chill. That's in violation of everything I'm about right now. So
absolutely,
whether it was even and that's the thing, whether it was even about like Dick Grayson being on his mind completely, like as an olive.
It is very much. I could very much see it be something that just weighs on his mind independently. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And again, this is more of like a gesture, like no matter like whether it was a gesture for the surrogate son or not, it was a gesture on Batman's part that shows Dick Grayson that perhaps he could change. That shows that it is possible. So we learned that Connor, he was scared straight by the interrogation. He tried to get his life together. So again, probably some time has passed. And but he was offered this guard job at Wayne Enterprises out of the blue one day. And he gets visited by the head honcho. He gets visited by Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne knows who I am, and he drops by, never too busy to ask him how my boy is, which that's really
oh, sweet. That's super nice, yeah.
And I think it's the way this episode ends is so genius to me, where we have two bits. Nightwing says to Connor, in this really reserved way, Mr. Wayne is a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really beautiful. And again, especially if you rewatch, Robin's Reckoning, because if you really look back to the beginnings of their relationship, it's that Bruce Wayne found Dick Grayson, not Batman. Bruce Wayne found Dick Grayson. He took him in. He took the boy and he gave him the comforting words before he found out he was Batman. That's, it's like that. Those words, Mr. Wayne is a good man. That's fundamentally true, and Nightwing can muster those words. He can't say Batman's good. He can't. They obviously wouldn't make any sense in the situation, but fundamentally, it's like Mr. Wayne's a good man. Just I don't know, something special about the line always kind of stuck with me. So then we have kind of our wonderful coda here with Robin and Nightwing. I guess Batman had a change of heart. Who knew he had one? And then something happens, Tiki. What happens?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the way that this bat symbol is animated. It just looks larger than life, and I love it. Am I crazy, or do you think it? What?
It's the call, man, and yeah, the way New Adventures with the red skies. I don't know why or how, but they made it look bigger on the sky.
It just looks super grand, man. Like this shot in particular.
It does, and again, the thematic crux I'm sure helps a great deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's the call, and this is a big moment too. Tiki, Nightwing has never been on a rooftop scene. He has never answered the bat signal. This is the first time he's doing this.
Okay, so Dragon, I gotta know right now. Then, yeah. Is this an actual? Because of course we had that big like quote unquote cliffhanger where Robin shows up. Is this an actual cliffhanger that's going to get paid off, or are we never actually going to see that rooftop scene?
No, you're never going to see that rooftop scene.
I thought so. I had a feeling.
I mean, the serialized thing only goes so far, Tiki.
I know.
But I love this too. This is the thing that kind of caught me in the rewatch too, where Tim Drake says to Nightwing, "You coming?" Which again is kind of like always Batman using so kind of shadily.
I got to admit, Dragon, like I do like the ultimate. Well, it's about time. But I part of me almost kind of wishes that the episode just had a Kevin Smith like fucking credits moment right after Tim Drake asks, "You come in." I don't know, just something about that I feel like would have been even more ambiguous and awesome. But
I like how the musically we do. We have when the Bat Signal shows up, we have the classic Batman theme, and then we have Nightwing's theme just to show that he's still his own man, but he's helping. He's helping the family that spawned him in a sense. That he's he's answering the call. It's not like things aren't fixed in paradise. He's not fully forgiven them, but he's seeing that, maybe hope is not lost. Maybe he can change. I mean, things can change for the better versus things just change and we accept this. It's something really special. Him answering that signal for the first time is grappling away with the Robin, and Robin kind of using Nightwing's big I work solo thing. Hey, you coming? Like, they're using like the snarky thing, and also the thing Batman's used to keep him down for a while. Like, hey, are you? Look at Animal Act, the one we had before this. He says, "There, you coming? Or are you gonna get off your little sad mopey horse? You're gonna come along?" It's like, hey, you coming?
Right.
And it's kind of using it in a positive sense here. So, yeah, they're off. They're answering the call, man.
All right, so Dragon, we're already going along with this, so I don't want to spend too much time on final thoughts. But final thoughts, I don't know, it's really top tier. Like, it feels super satisfying. It not only answers the big mystery of the season, but it contextualizes a lot of what comes before and also some of what comes after. So, in a lot of ways, this is very much a big one for sure.
Yeah, for me, this episode best sums up why the new Batman adventures exist. It's not just more Batman; but the next stage in his life and the Bat family as a whole. This episode is the connecting point. It's bold enough to examine Batman's flaws and damage his most iconic relationship, arguably. I just love. It lays the groundwork for Batman's fate and for Bruce's fate and Batman Beyond. It's a great episode about complex relationships and the little betrayals in life. How it shapes an evolution, the whole things change of it all. Batman as a character, he's formed by the destruction of a family, and seeing him and his crusade cost him another in a sense. I was like seeing just the big crack form. It's really sad. With that silver lining of, it's never too late at the end. It's that wonderful silver lining. And it's like just looking at the episode, I was like, Batman can't heal the old wounds of his past as a character. If you do that, it's debatable if he's still Batman. He cannot heal the old wounds of the past, but he can try to fix it. He can try. Not in a way that helps him, but helps others. That's kind of what we did with Connor at the end. It's a beautiful episode. It's top marks all across the board. Possibly the best episode of New Adventures, objectively. Quite possibly.
All right, so hit us with the next one, Dragon, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Another friend from Batman's past? A magical branding iron? Demons? Cats? Witch boys? Oh my! Will Batman and Robin save Bruce Wayne's friend from his own demons? Or will a medieval nightmare be unleashed? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with the Demon Within.
Things change.
I am Batman.